Hello, friends. Welcome to my online classes. I'm Javed Nehal, and in today's class, we are going to analyze a classic poem, The Poetry of Earth. It's written by John Keats. As usual, I will start discussion with the life and the works of the poet John Keats. Born in London on 31st October 1795, John Keats is considered as one of the main figures of the second generation of Romantic poets. Keats' poetry is marked by vivid imagery, great sensuous appeal, and great philosophy. He wrote, among others, The Eve of St. Agnes, La Bella Dame Sans Mercy, Odes to a Nightingale, and to Autumn. The group of 5 odes, which include Odes to a Nightingale, are ranked among the greatest short poems in the English language. Keats suffered tuberculosis and died on 23rd February 1821 at a very young age of 25. He was buried in Protestant cemetery in Rome. Now here's the poem. The Poetry of Earth, John Keats. The poetry of earth is never dead. When all the birds are fed with the hot sun and hide in cooling trees, a voice will run from hedge to hedge about the new mown mead. That is the grasshopper's. He takes the lead in summer luxury. He has never done with his delights, for when tired out with fun, he rests at ease beneath some pleasant weed. The poetry of earth is ceasing never. On a lone winter evening, when the frost has wrought a silence, from the stove there shrills the cricket song in warmth increasing ever, and seems to one in drowsiness half lost the grasshoppers among some grassy hills. Well, before we start analyzing this poem, let us understand the meaning and the concept of some difficult words. Now, the word fent is an adjective meaning lacking in strength or vigor. The hedge is a noun, means a row of bushes. New mown is a compound word, compound adjective meaning freshly cut. Now, made is actually a shortened form of the word meadow, which refers to a grassy land. Now, grasshoppers is a kind of insect. Luxury here means treats or beauty. It's a noun. Now, at ease is an adverbial phrase meaning comfortably. Weed is a noun meaning useless plants. Ceasing is the verb, means stopping. Lone here is an adjective meaning solitary or having no companions. Frost, noun meaning ice. Stove actually refer to the fireplace, which is again a noun. Shrills here is being used as a verb. It means a sharp cry or sound. A cricket is again a kind of insects. The one is a pronoun referring to a person in general. Drowsiness is a noun meaning a state between sleeping and being awake. Let's analyze the poem. The opening line of the poem, "The poetry of earth is never dead," explains and summarizes the entire poem. Now, this line also gives the poem its title, The Poetry of Earth. The title claims and declares that the earth has its own poetry. But we all know that our planet Earth has neither a mouth to speak nor hands to write. So, where is this poetry coming from? Who is writing them and in what form? Let us understand the concept of poetry here. Poetry is a form of literature based on the interplay of words and rhythm. In poetry, words are strung together to form sounds, images, and ideas, thus reflecting both beauty and emotions. The earth also manifests these qualities, and she does it in the form of sights and sounds of nature, which represents the music and vitality of life. Keats is calling it the poetry of earth. And according to him, the earth never run out of its poetry. When one of its poets is down and out, the poetry of earth does not stop but keeps flowing through others. In simple word, the poem gives us the message that the music of life never stops but goes on forever. In order to prove and establish it, John Keats chooses two seasons, summer and winter. Keeping in mind that these two seasons are polar apart and have contrasting features, the poet has produced and presented the poetic imagery of these two seasons in two distinct parts of the poem we call octave and sestate. In the octave part of the poem, Keats exclusively talk about summer seasons and its reflections. He gives a vivid description of the sights and sounds of nature during summertime and he calls them summer luxury. The examples of summer luxuries are chirping and singing birds, warm and hot sun, shady trees, abundant and plentiful vegetative growth. In fact, in summer season, the poetry of earth flows all around in the form of the sights and sounds of nature. In winter season, on the other hand, there aren't any singing birds, a hot sun, or green, lush vegetations. Loneliness rules the land. There's frost and snow everywhere, but even in this loneliness and silence, the poetry of earth never stops but keeps flowing. Let's go for the detailed and line by line analysis of the poem to have a complete feel of it. Now, John Keats in the first line declares that the poetry of earth is never dead. Now, we can hear a symphony of music from various elements of nature and more particularly from the sweet singing birds. In summertime, the birds, which are the natural songsters, proactively keep the music alive through their beautiful songs. However, sometimes it happens that some elements of nature assume erratic behavior and try to spoil the show. Say for example, in summer season the sun sometimes becomes extremely hot and unbearable. As a result, the birds are not keen to keep up their routine. They stop singing and run to the cooling shade of the trees and take shelter under them. When this happens, the whole countryside seems to be going quiet. It appears as if the poetry of earth has stopped. But has it really stopped? The answer is no. When all the birds have stopped singing, just then you can hear a voice. This continuous voice runs from hedge to hedge in freshly cut meadow. Now, whose voice is this? Who is keeping the poetry of earth flowing in this hot summer? Now, this continuous voice that runs from hedge to hedge belongs to a tiny grasshopper. The grasshopper takes the lead. He comes forward and fills up the void of the singing birds. He is not at all bothered about the hot sun. In fact, the hot sun fails to deter him as he chirps merrily in summer luxury from one bush to another, feeling his heart out. When he had his fill of fun, he rests comfortably under some pleasant weeds but never stops his chants. So the grasshopper is the poet of summer who keeps the poetry of earth flowing even in the time when others have retired. The poetry of earth keeps flowing in hot summer through the summer poet, the grasshopper. Now we move to the sustain part of the poem. The sustain begins with the same earlier declaration. The line repeats and reiterates that the poetry of earth is ceasing never. Now summer is long gone. It's winter time. There's no hot sun or lush green meadows, no singing birds and animals. Probably they have migrated to some other places or gone into hibernations. It's a freezing cold. Frost and snow has brought loneliness and silence upon the earth. The evening is silent and lonely, and in this loneliness of the evening, the poetry of earth appears to be dead. But is it dead? Again, the answer is no. When frost and snow spins a silence upon the earth, the cricket keeps the poetry of earth alive. Now, he does not remain mute and silent. Instead of growing quiet in the cold, harsh winter, the cricket finds a cozy corner near the fireplace and, like the tireless bard of the winter, keeps chirping and singing merrily, thus keeping the poetry of earth flowing. Now, in the last two lines, the poet gives a description of a man dozing off. In a state of drowsiness, he hears the cricket's high pitched notes. Mistakenly, he takes it for the merry notes of the grasshopper singing joyfully among some grassy hills on a summer day. Thus, Keats illustrates and establishes the continuity of the poetry of earth through the poetic voices of the grasshopper and the cricket. Now, we are going to discuss the major theme of the poem. The poem has two major themes, and the first being nature and its beauty. Keats, an ardent admirer of nature and its beauty, always found expression through his poetry. In the poem, Keats expresses the beauty of nature in different seasons. He alludes to the nature's beauty in summer through singing birds, warm and hot sun, shady trees, and plentiful vegetations. Again, winter, despite shorn of cheerful summer elements, continues to beguile and bewitch everyone through its solitude and silence spun around by frost upon the earth. The next theme is hope and tenacity. The poem gives us a message that no matter how hard the situation is, there's always something cheerful to look upon. The grasshopper and the cricket in the poem stands as symbol of hope and tenacity. The adverse situation failed to deter them and they continue to strive even when the others are down and out. Thus, the poem reflects hope, tenacity, and dedication to pursue one's passions. Now, in this section, we will discuss the technical aspect of the poem. Now, the poem The Poetry of Earth is a sonnet. A sonnet is a versatile form of poetry consisting of 14 lines, all written in iambic pentameter. There are basically three kinds of sonnet which have been named after their creator, and these are Italian or Petrarchan sonnet, Spenserian sonnet, and the last one is Shakespearean sonnet. Now, all these sonnets have 14 lines, but they mainly differ in their division of sections and rhyming pattern. For example, the Italian and the Petrarchan sonnet has a rhyme scheme of A B B A B B A, C D E C D E, or the state could be C D C C D C or C D C D C D. Now, in case of a Spenserian sonnet, the rhyme scheme is always A B A B, B C B C C D C D, and E E. And Shakespearean sonnet again has a rhyme scheme of A B A B, C D C D, E F E F, and G G. To know the exact genre the poem The Poetry of Earth belongs to, let's check its rhyme scheme and meter. Now, rhyme is a recurrence of similar ending sounds at the end of poetic lines. Now, in the first stanza, the first line ends with the word dead. Now, dead rhymes with the word med here. And in the next line, sun rhymes with the word run. So here, dead and met, sun and run are the rhyming words. We mentioned the rhyme scheme by labeling the end of each line with a letter. So dead is A, sun is B, so is run, and med is again A. Now you will find that the same pattern of A, B, B, A is repeated in the second stanza, where we find lead and weed are the rhyming words and done and fun. So this pattern gets repeated. Now, in the sustain part, the rhyming words are never and ever, frost and lost, shrills and hills. So if we represent them in terms of letter, then we get C, D, E, C, D, E. So here we can say that the rhyme scheme of this poem is A, B, B, A, B, B, A, C, D, E, C, D, E. Now next we will check the meter. Now a meter is a measure of rhythmic quantity organized into groups of syllables at regular intervals in a line of poetry. Now we always check the meter in terms of the number of syllables each and every line of the poem has. So if you analyze them, each and every line, you will find that no matter how long or how short the lines are, they always have 10 syllables in them. Now 2 syllables make an iamb. That means the line has 5 iambs, which meaning it's a iambic pentameter. Now we are sure that this poem is actually a Petrarchan or Italian sonnet. Now there is often a question, why does Keats use Petrarchan form of a sonnet for this poem? The answer is that in the poem, while talking about the poetry of earth, Keats is dealing with 2 seasons which are diametrically opposite from each other in terms of tone, mood, feelings and their reflections. Now, Keats uses the octave part of the poem to his advantage to describe the imagery and the treats of summer seasons. Now, when he shifts his focus from the summer luxury to the loneliness of the winter, he uses the volta. The volta in the 9th line of the Italian sonnet provides a perfect setting for the precursory change of the season from summer to winter. Now, in the concluding lines, he does a time warp and goes back to the summertime. The beauty of the poem lies in the brilliance that so blissfully establishes the contrast and connection between completely opposite seasons which encompasses all others. Now, I would like to sign off with an interesting story about this poem. Keats wrote this poem in a competition which was between him and his friends Leigh Hunt on December 38, 1816. The rule in this competition was as to who could write the best verse in a short time on the specified topic on the grasshopper and the cricket. Well, needless to say, Keats won this competition with the poem The Poetry of Earth is Never Dead. In fact, an alternative title of this poem could also be On the Grasshopper and the Cricket. Now, with this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you for watching my show. If you have any queries or suggestion, please send your mail to javednehal@ymail.com. You can also visit my website. The link has been given in the description box. If you really like my channel, then please do subscribe it.